actually talk about the before and the after, right? Or rather, yeah, lead into and leading out of it. So we'll focus on that. Yeah. So before I kind of start, anybody here? Somebody's mic is on. Okay. So before I kind of start the session, anybody has any thoughts about what could be before and what could be after? Uh, how have you experienced it, and any thoughts? Any thoughts that's coming to your mind? Or have you thought of learning in this way? And I'm sure we actually do it in many ways this way, but still some thoughts about this whole process of before, during, after. Anybody wants to share anything or any other thoughts, especially if you put together the last few sessions, especially the facilitation session? Yep. Anybody wants to share, say anything, or any thoughts after facilitation sessions? Any thought going on in your mind? Okay, this how to do this, or what to do in this situation, or something that's there on your mind if you want to share this here so that you can. Okay, so no thoughts means all are set and ready for this session. I'll take it as that. Okay. So what I'll do is I will we'll do a small kind of an activity to start the session. What is required for this is that I'll be playing some music. That I was testing with music at the beginning. It definitely requires your mic to be on mute. I think it is Aparna's mic. Yes, Aparna has muted it. Okay, thanks, Aparna. So, so we'll be doing a small activity. What you need to do is just relax and close your eyes and be with me while we do this activity. So it's very simple. You just sit back and enjoy. So uh, if everybody is ready, just give me a quick R in the chat window and then close your eyes. After putting an R in the chat window, you can close your eyes. Right, and as you close your eyes, relax, and what I want you to do is think about a time or an occasion or a situation when you were kind of scared. You could have been scared of anything, about the situation, about where you were, about anything. You could be, but you were scared. So go back to a time when you were scared of anything, and just think about that and kind of relive that moment when you were scared. And as you think about it, I will take you on a small journey. So be with me, keep your eyes closed, and imagine that you are traveling in a bus. You are traveling in an overnight bus. So the bus is going along, and it's kind of around midnight. So the bus stops somewhere, and you kind of feel like going out for a nature call. So you also get up and you ask whatever the driver, can you get down and go behind a bush or something. So you get down from the bus and you go behind the bush and do the chore. And when you come back from behind the bush is a little far away. So when you come back from behind the bush, the bus is gone. There is no bus. So you are there. It's pitch dark. It's moonless night. It's totally dark. There is no light anywhere around, and there's no bus. And you suddenly realize that, yeah, you left your bag and mobile phone, everything in the bus. So you have nothing on you. And you look around and you wait for some time and you hope that some vehicle would come. But there is no vehicle, nothing coming. It's just completely pitch dark. Yeah. And you start wondering what to do. You start kind of walking on the road. The wind picks up, and this kind of you're feeling a little odd and strange that you are left all alone in this pitch darkness. You start moving in one direction, and suddenly you see a little far away a small light. So you start moving towards that light, but you get this kind of funny feeling in that darkness. You don't know where you are going. You also get a feeling that there is somebody who is kind of, uh, following you. You look behind. It's quite dark, and you can't really make out if there is anybody, but there isn't anybody. But then you get the feeling that there is somebody behind you. Anyway, that light is the only hope. So you start walking a little faster and faster, and then you kind of start running towards it because you have this feeling that there's somebody is kind of behind you. And as you run towards the light, and the light is coming closer, your heart is also pounding because you've been running. Again, you get the feeling that there's somebody behind you. You look back, but it's pitch dark. You reach this little house, which is there in the middle of nowhere, and the light seems to be coming from inside the house. You start wondering what to do. And then you go to the house, you call out, no response, you knock. It's an old, dilapidated house. You're wondering where is this light coming from? You have no other option. So, holding your breath, you softly try the door. It actually opens up. You go slowly inside. You can't see a thing. There are cobwebs, some bats flying. Start wondering where you have reached. You still more scared. You feel there is somebody behind you. Turn around, but there's nobody. You go inside the house, the door closes by itself behind you. You start moving. You see there's a flight of stairs going up, and there's some light coming from somewhere up. You start going up the stairs slowly, and then as you reach up, you see that you have this again the feeling that there's somebody following you on the steps. You keep moving, turning around, but there is nobody really there. When you reach up, you will see a cupboard from where the light is coming. That's very strange. There's nothing else, just a cupboard in the middle of the room from where the light is coming, a closed cupboard. Start walking towards the cupboard. You're not sure what you need to do, want to do. Keep looking around, trying to feel in the darkness with the little light coming from the cupboard. And finally, you open the cupboard. So what I want you to do is open your eyes and now grab a piece of paper and start writing what happens next. Yeah. So you need to just start writing what happens from when you open the cupboard. So you can anyway finish it. So you basically need to kind of finish the whole thing. You can finish it if you check the slide. You can finish it in any way. Um, you can have different themes for your story, right? I've given some example themes. You can also have different kinds of ending. It could be a happy ending. It could be a horrible ending. It could be a romantic ending. It could be a tragic ending. It could be a suspense ending. Any kind of ending, and it could have any kind of theme. The whole story could have any kind of theme. So go ahead, use the next whatever 5 7 minutes to finish the story. So you start from where you open the door. Yep. Just give me a quick W in the chat window that you've started writing, so I know that you are kind of with me. Okay, I think we kind of pause here. Even if you are not done, we can continue this story later on and kind of wind it, finish it when you, however long you want to write or whatever you want to write. So, what I would like you to do is to share whatever the whole experience, what you went through, how was the experience of writing, and so on. Whatever comes to your mind, just share. Not the story, the experience. Just say your name because not everybody knows.
Yeah, this is Bashpika. Mm, Initially, I started writing, thinking what to write. Then um, I thought to write a simple story, just finding something inside the cupboard and walking away with it, reaching the house. Then I thought, okay, I'll make it a bit complicated, include some horror or suspense, or some moral I can convey through the story. So I wrote the story according to that.
So, how was the whole experience? First going through the little journey that we did, and then you wrote the story. So, how was the whole experience?
It was easy for me to start writing
Okay.
because it is already there, it is set. It was easy to just start. I just started writing because I never thought I could write stories. So I just started with it easily with it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Others? Please share.
Hello, Ritu here. Can you
So,
hear me, Ratnesh?
yes, yes.
Hello.
Yeah, yeah, we can hear
Okay.
you. Go ahead, please.
So yeah, I ima okay, great. I imagined the remaining part of the story to a certain extent, and when I kind of hit a block, I thought I'll start writing it. And as I started writing it, I started adding more detail, and probably I started manipulating the story I had imagined also, and added few more bits and pieces. And like for example, I thought the small light coming from the cupboard was actually a blinding light when I opened it, and it enters into a land of small creatures. But then when I started writing it, I thought I should imagine it as a tunnel which is narrowing down. So that kind of I was improvising as I was writing, and I realized that when I'm writing, I was adding a lot more detail and feeling and a lot of other things which I didn't really imagine. When I imagined, I was just thinking what happens next, and a little bit of detail was there. But when I was writing a lot more than what I was thinking about. That was my feeling. It was interesting. That's all.
Others, what was your experience? Yeah, others share the whole experience, the journey that I took you through. How did that affect your way of writing or the writing itself? So the whole thing was done in two parts, right? So we did a little whatever journey together, kind of a visualization, guided visualization, and then you wrote the story. So what did the first part do to the second part, and so on?
Hi, Ratnesh, Shilpa here.
Shilpa.
Yeah, the first part, I think it set the stage. I mean,
Mhm.
the it got into that uh, mode. It got me at least into that imagining everything, and and then later it uh, made me think, made me imagine things. So I think the base was formed in the first, the stage was set in other words,
Mm-hmm.
uh, to go ahead with what one would think. So even when I started writing, uh, uh, I was, as Ritu shared, even I was adding a lot of details to small finer things, and uh, uh, it was really nice. I mean, the whole experience.
Okay.
This is Nandini.
Yeah, Nandini.
When you were narrating the story, it was actually scary. Walking around the road night. Uh, while finishing this, I mean, when I was writing the story, if I imagine myself in that, I would write all happily ever after. I would end it like that. But if I think of an imaginary person and I'm writing a fictional story, then I would add all comedy, suspense, and horror, everything.
Okay.
So,
So that was interesting. That if you write for yourself, you want a different ending, and if you write for a fictional character, you want a different ending. Okay. Somebody else wants to share the experience?
Ratnesh, Banu here.
Yes, Banu.
Hi, Bashpika.
Yeah.
Okay, she's not there.
She just
Okay,
stepped out to take care of her son. She'll be back in a minute or so.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay, as you were, talking about the story, as you were narrating, my
Hmm.
jaws dropped first.
Okay.
And I was really listening to you, but as I was into the writing, I started to add more details, as Ritu said,
Hmm.
and my imagination became more horrifying. Though it was frightening experience, I was trying to finish in a graceful manner,
Hmm.
didn't want to scare myself,
Hmm.
and was thinking for a happy ending, but I couldn't find any.
Okay. Okay.
That's all.
Thank you. So obviously, I'm more looking at thoughts. People, if people have more thoughts of how the first part, what was about the first part, or how the first part affected the second part. So if people have more points or more thoughts that okay, this is this aspect of first part affected the second part, and so on.
First part was horrifying,
Okay.
Ratnesh.
Yeah. Yeah.
The first part was really horrifying. That's why I say my jaws dropped actually. But after that, I was trying to, trying to tune it according to my needs.
Hmm.
Was wanting a happy ends.
Okay. Okay.
That's all.
I think the imagination, it fired off our imagination, kind of set it rolling.
Hmm.
The initial part of the story, we were all totally immersed in imagining how it would be. Of course, our own versions of the story you were telling us,
Hmm.
and I think that led us to imagine quite a few other things. Could be this, it could be that. So, what do you want to go with?
Okay. Any more thoughts? So what we basically call it? Yes, I think Shrishti wants to share. I heard some mic. Shrishti, you there? Can hear the mic, not hear you.
Yeah, Ratnesh, am I audible now?
Yes.
Okay, so when you took the passenger into that hut, and that hut had the stairs, and it was about to lead up, and there was a room. The moment you started that part, I started remembering the horror movies.
Okay.
All the horror movies, nearly all of them have such bungalows, and they don't find anyone, and the moment the door shuts, and then you climb the stairs, and you upstairs there's something waiting for you.
Yeah, yeah.
Awesome. The moment I started thinking, oh, this is quite filmy, so I gave so many endings, different kinds of endings.
Yes, it was intentionally filmy. Okay, so we call this, so what we basically do is we believe that when we are when we want to do something, we need to prepare for it, right? That's a fairly um, obvious statement. So we call this stage as, either we use the word stimulation or we call it as preparation, either of the two. Interchangeably we use these words. Yeah. So obviously this the whole exercise was an example of how, when we are prepared for something or when we are stimulated for something, how that kind of let me say value adds or enriches, or not necessarily makes it easier in the sense of easiness, but more in the sense of it adds many dimensions, it adds many different explorations, it adds more involvement, it adds a lot of other things to the whole experience of doing something. Right? So I want to spend little time now kind of exploring um, this whole concept of stimulation or preparation, right? Any thoughts about the importance or the role of stimulation and preparation, especially with respect to children and with respect to learning? Yep. Anybody? Any thoughts? Uh, Also, you can relate to any situation where you felt a preparation helped, or not being prepared led to more problems. A lot of times when people talk to me about their children, a simple thing like somebody was mentioning, child finds it difficult to get up in the morning, go to school, a child is not liking a subject, or child is behaving in a funny way with a certain child. Uh, so and so on and so forth. So it could be an emotional issue, behavioral issue, mental issue, emotional issue, anything. A lot of things we kind of remind people that forget the moment when that happens, but let's see how we can prepare. So maybe the step that we miss most often is actually the preparation, right, or the stimulation. So if we feel if the child is kind of prepared or stimulated, uh, then then the scenario is very very different. Yeah. Any thoughts?
Yeah, Ratnesh, Avinash here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. go ahead, Avinash.
Yeah. So I think this is the most critical part of our life also. Perhaps everyone must have experienced this. And preparation for that matter, I will not only say stimulation, but I use the word simulation very much for my own life in context of whatever we prepare our day or our activity or any exam or any lecture. And the way we think, it is first thought in mind and second time is we execute. So we are actually doing this twice. The creation is twice, not once. And this is a phase where actually we enjoy the entire journey and we are satisfied to ourselves on the preparation part of it. And then perhaps uh, the outcome, whatever actual things happen on the day of exam or the day of lecture, it is just a replication of what we thought, and the surprises or some other way of looking at the event where you learn from it, and but you really enjoy it because you have well prepared. And I feel this is how I define myself. It is exactly the precision of how we should do it, where you have to spend a lot of time planning and preparing yourself to do any activity.
Okay, so a small little. So while most of it I agree or kind of I'm in sync with you, Avinash. The only thing which I reserve is that when you said you have to spend a lot of time. In fact, we believe it's the other way around. You spend even a little time spent, sometimes a very small time spent in preparation or stimulation is more than enough to take care of a large chunk of activity. For example, even a simple thing, let's say we are going to a party, and let's say we say to our child, hey, we've been invited to a party, let's go to a party. Now, typically what happens is when we go there, then that time we get all, why are you not going and playing with other children? Why are you not eating the food properly? Is it the way we eat in party? And all kinds of behavioral kind of or whatever social aspects we kind of start working. But if we were to, let's say, spend what, 2 minutes or 3 minutes or 5 minutes just discussing what kind of party are we going, what who all would be there, and what would you like to do, right? And that's all. It possibly takes 2-3 minutes, but it kind of takes care of the rest of the whole party, and the child is very well ready for it. Right. So it's something sometimes just actually doesn't take too much time. In fact, the example that we did today, uh, I would have taken about I think I took about 2 minutes, 2 to 2.5, 3 minutes, let's say, of stimulating you, but you can actually use it to write a full novel. Right? So it's not really the time per se which matters so much. Uh, yeah, sometimes a lot of time also helps, but um, sometimes just that little bit makes a lot of difference. Yeah, I want more examples like how Avinash was saying, how you prepare your child, stimulate your child for different things, not just the traditional exams kind of preparation, but a lot of other small things, uh, and so on. Any thoughts how you were prepared for, let's say, I don't know, um, marriage or childbirth, or I don't know, for what all you were prepared, college or big things, or even small things, how you prepare yourself if you, let's say, need to do something, if you, let's say, need to write an article, need to write a novel, need to sing a song. What goes into this stimulation? So anybody just share how you do that. Examples from your life, your child. How do you prepare your child? What are the few things that you keep in mind? And just share some examples, as many as you can.
Hi Ratnesh, this is Neetu here.
Yeah, Neetu.
Yeah. A simple thing like when we are going on a holiday, my son he was going for camp. So I told like if you told before that it's going to be cold and you will get food only on limit like time in time. It wouldn't be like all the time available food. So if that was not informed to the kid before, when he went there and he was like no, it was not very cold. It was like okay, and I was getting a lot of food. Though it was not as like not warm, it was cold, but because he had the mind prepared, no, it's going to be cold.
Yeah, yeah.
it's going to be really cold. When he knew that, so it was easier, and he did not feel it was that bad.
Yeah.
So he was more comfortable there than he would be otherwise if not prepared before.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
This is Nandini.
Yeah, Nandi.
Last time when I took my son for the vaccination, so the injection to be given, the usual thing, I mean, all the parents I have seen, even my parents are doing the same thing. They don't tell that the doctor will give injection now.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, the kids will not come. But I thought I should tell him. I said, now we are going for the vaccination and doctor will give you injection. He asked where exactly and how much it will pain, and it took 10 minutes to explain everything, all his questions.
Mm-hmm.
Why should I take? I said, no, you will not get fever. I explained him everything. And then once he went inside, the doctor took out injection, and there were actually two injections. And he just, nothing.
Awesome.
After that he said, yeah, I'm okay, mom. It's little bit paining, as he said, but yeah, it's okay now. He just came. Uh,
Cool, real cool. In fact, that reminds me of one of the doctor from whom I learned this. She is a periodontist, and I took my when my daughter was 3 years old. So that was what, some 14 years back. I took her for some root canal or some treatment. I'm not no, not root canal, but some treatment. So what this dentist did was she called the child first that I want you to see my clinic and tell me how good it is. And so she went around and she got the child, a 3-year-old child, to explore every tool in her the dental chair. All she pressed this, here water comes, here air comes, here grrr sound comes, here this comes. So she spent about 5 good minutes with the child exploring the clinic. Then she asked how good is my clinic and all that. And then again she had to wait. And then after 10-15 minutes, she said, okay, now I'll do the treatment. And yes, just like in your son's case, my daughter was totally ready, for the treatment. She was already comfortable. Otherwise, dental chair is such a scary thing, even for an adult. Forget the child. So amazing, amazing dentist. And from her, I learned, okay, this is how one can stimulate the child for anything. So yeah, pretty cool. More examples, more stories.
Yeah, Avinash here. I think for Vedang, I actually experienced this for the haircut, first haircut, where I actually took him a couple of days before. I told him this is the place where I come for my haircut, and now you will also be coming. There were a couple of guys who were doing the haircut. He saw them. I introduced him to the barber, his scissors, and we spent almost 5 minutes there, and then we went back. And on the day of the haircut, he was perfectly fine, smiling, uh, and he did his haircut without any of his any tantrums or any pain, and he was very happy child after that.
Yeah, yeah. More people, a different kind of preparation, or maybe some experiences where you didn't prepare and you faced a lot of problem. Even that itself can be a good learning experience. Yeah, Shrishti.
Ratnesh, actually, since the time I have been attending your sessions, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Can you hear?
Yeah, yeah. Today you are not in the well. You seem to
Yeah.
have come out of it.
Actually, since the time I have been. Okay. My elder one is in school at this time, but the younger one, she's 2 years old now. She is always there around, and what I do every time there's a session, every Tuesday and Thursday. Previous night I talk to her. Tomorrow uncle will be coming on the laptop, and I will be talking to him. So what I want you to do is you sit on the window, you play with your toys, you have your books, you look into it, and I'll have food for you. You can eat it. So every time, even yesterday and today morning, I prepared her for this, and she is around me. She's playing around. She's singing her own songs. I don't know what. And yes, she's prepared. She is mentally ready for this. That I won't be paying paying any attention on her.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, it is so amazing that when children are prepared and stimulated, they can. Yeah, it's a completely different story after that, and it is such a simple thing, and sometimes just it doesn't even take too much effort. In fact, I would say we don't even need to think. We can just ask the child, "What would you like to do when I'm, let's say, in a session, or when we are going there, or when we are going on this holiday, and what all you want to take, and so on." So the more the child thinks, the more the child kind of plans and prepares. So even this job of stimulation is actually handed over to the child, or rather, the child is empowered to think about what the child wants to do and how the child wants to do, and so on and so forth. So even that job, we don't have to really do it. We just have to kind of ensure that we schedule it as part of the whole learning process. Okay, more people. Anybody else wants to share? Yeah.
Bashpika here. My son is also here with me. Just now he was disturbing me, and we went up, got some paper and pens for him. And while coming, I told him that you cannot speak in a loud voice. You have to speak in a low volume. He always speaks loudly, but surprisingly, he is following it. He's coming to me and asking in a low voice. Yeah, it's working. Yeah. And for haircut also, I just gave him a toy scissors before going. He started cutting his hair and playing with it for 5 minutes, and then I took him to salon. He was okay with it. He was calm for the entire cut. So,
Yeah.
yeah, thank you.
One experience I would like to share.
Yeah, Kamal.
Blood test for Daksh. So to prepare him for a blood test, because injection is okay, but when it comes to blood test, then you have to hold your arm steady, so that until the time they do not remove that sufficient quantity of blood, you should not move. So for that, we had to prepare Daksh also. So we told him that it would be just like a bite of an ant. So I pinched him and I said, this is how it would feel like. But if during that time, if you try to move your hand, then what would happen is injection would go on the left, on the right, so it can hurt more. So ideally what you should do when he is going to do the blood test. So he said, yeah, I should keep my hand steady. And then he asked entire thing as to what all would happen. So I said, fine, this is how it would happen. We told him that so you will be in our arms, and that time they would remove the blood and all. And when we went over there, what happened was something different from what we had anticipated. Uh, Basically, two, three doctors came in, and one was holding his legs, another was holding his hands, because that's how they expect other kids to behave. So, and since it was so instant, we couldn't do much. So for that moment, he cried,
Sure.
and then immediately he was sober because he realized that I was anyways prepared for something similar. In fact, afterwards he said, Papa, I cried now, although you had prepared me not to cry, I cried now. I said, yeah, beta, it's okay because they made a change in the way they do it. So you are not prepared for it, so it's absolutely fine, but then you are strong enough. And then in fact, he also shared this experience with Aisha was after coming home. He said, this is how I experienced, I went for this and this is what the doctor did. So it was a kind of experience rather than a fear. It was a kind
Yeah,
of a
yeah,
new experience
yeah.
learning. So and that's how we prepare. So anything and everything that we do, we tell him, and also we ask him questions that in this scenario, like when the scenario is going to change. For
Right,
example, you will be traveling by a bus. So what all you would do in that scenario?
right.
And then he comes with different questions that, fine, can I do this in that scenario? Can I do that? And then you answer. So basically, a kind of a mental picture is already, a video is already created that what to expect in the next environment. So I think this is
Sure, sure.
one kind of
Yeah.
simulation.
Also, we've been more or less sharing more social and um, kind of emotional experiences. But even more, I would say, importantly, in learning, a lot of times children are given learning assuming that they want to learn, or they whatever learning we have got for them, they better learn. Let's say multiplication or anything like that. So a lot of time we just give them the learning just because we think it is important, or we think this is nice and this is interesting, rather than kind of creating a little stimulation. So I'm also looking if somebody has learning related, how you stimulated your child or a group of children for a learning journey. It could be learning whatever history, it could be learning science, it could be, or if you have examples of any teacher whom you remembered who used to prepare you in such a way that you were super excited to learn anything. It could be music, it could be gymnastics, anything. I'm more talking about learning examples now, because it becomes even more important than that in the learning, especially when you have a group of children, because each children is at a different point, a different frame of mind, different mood, different interests, different skills, different strengths, different abilities. So because we have such diversity in a group, it becomes even more important that the preparation is done so that all are there, kind of, as we call it, in the class, rather than each one being somewhere. So some examples about learning, please. Yeah, Ritu.
Yeah, Ratnesh, I think
Ratnesh, Ritu here.
Avinash.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Sorry,
Ritu, go ahead.
Avinash. We'll let ladies go first.
So yeah, when I usually try to sit down with my son for some learning or anything like that. So especially when we're doing maths, unless it's it's if it's something he really loves to do, then he doesn't really need a lot of stimulation. But when there is something new or something, he asks me why do I really need to learn this? That time if I use a little bit of pre-work, like or maybe use things which he's interested in to teach the other things which are needed, or maybe that go along with the study routine. So I use things like, say for example, if I'm teaching maths, I would probably use a lot of worded stories, like um, say for multiplication or something. I would say if Spider-Man has so many weapons and Iron Man has so many weapons, and so totally how many would they have, then he'd be really excited to get into it and do it. And or if I'm taking example of his friends, his name and his friend's name in a worded problem, then that makes it more exciting for him. And slowly then if it moves on to other things, then that kind of keeps the interest in the subject. But if I just give him problems and say just do this, he will not have that much of enthusiasm to just finish them off, or dive into it or think deep into it. That's what I've noticed.
Sure, sure. Avinash?
Yeah, Ratnesh. I know this coach who is a swimming coach and for kids,
Yeah.
and he teaches right from 3 years age to whatever age it is. And the beautiful part of that coach I observed when I was training Vedang during the swimming also was when the kid is new to water, I think he sets him at the edge of the swimming pool, paddle with the water, then come into the pool, play with water toys, just be there in the baby pool, get acclimatized with the water temperature, and just keep on talking and playing. And in that playful examples, he keeps on talking, how are you feeling, what is it, how the water is, and he keeps on telling stories to the kids. And then he just gives out a float and he starts walking with the float, and that kid is on the float. And it is just natural where the baby starts paddling without even he instructing or telling that baby to do what is required. And then scientifically he starts in over a period of time in 7 days or 8 days, once the kid is overcome the fear of water or the newness of water, and then the baby is all its own. And that is where I thought that coach was different with respect to other coaches, because the way he coaches, not only that, but I think the entire experience which he gives to the kids, it's fabulous.
Hey, that's a wonderful example. Yeah. Especially swimming pools are somewhere where we only hear barking, move your legs, move your hands. But that sounds so nice when you were sharing. Uh,
Yeah.
I'm sure kids would love to be with him and be in the pool and would start, liking water and enjoying the journey of learning swimming, and which is true for
Yes.
actually learning anything, for that
Correct.
matter. Okay, anybody else wants to share any experience specifically to learning, um, like how Ritu and Avinash shared, more specific to learning? So I can give you a group experience, since that you may not have that kind of situation, but we do have. So just last week, we all went on a trip. I mean, I didn't go, but Aditi and Leela and other children, all the children, they had planned for a history trip, and that it was an outstation trip for 3 days. So purposefully, we planned the trip from Tuesday to Thursday, so that we have one full Monday to prepare for it. And if you were here, you would experience how right from morning till night they were all preparing in many different ways. They had 2 hours where they researched, each child researched about the place. Then 1 hour they shared what all they have researched, what all they would like to see, what all they would like to do there. Then there was a whole planning of how to go for the what all will we need. So then children split into teams, and they planned how the journey would be, how many kilometers, how many breaks, how much water they should carry, how much money, how much petrol, how much, uh, every little detail, which medicines we should take, every single aspect of a trip, from I'm saying one extreme is medicine, how much cash we should withdraw from ATM, every single thing. All the children, obviously they've divided themselves into the team, and they planned it. And obviously for 3 days it was a very cool trip, with children taking care of everything, right from any planning part, anywhere to go, where to stay, the bookings, getting the bus here, every single thing. So one day invested in 3 days of wonderful journey. Not that the one day itself was an amazing learning journey, but so much work happened in that one day, with every little aspect of the whole trip being looked into. And then, as I said, the 3 days, the facilitators, as in Aditi and Leela, they were just chilled and relaxed, and the kids were doing almost everything and taking care of the whole trip. And it was an intensely learning trip, because there's so much of already, you can say, curiosity fired up, like how somebody said, imagination fired. So their imagination was fired, how that place would be, what it would be. There were disappointments, there were frustrations, there were all kinds of emotions when they did not get it how they expected it to be. But it was still, I would say, a very well uh, enjoyed, and from a learning perspective, a very rich journey. Um, so, that's one example how the group itself prepares together for something and can look into every little detail, especially the learning detail. And then they came back and they were prepared for the documentation, and they've spent about 3 to 4 days documenting the whole thing. They made slideshows, presentations, travel logs, and all kinds of work, because they were ready. So because they were ready, they collected a lot of stuff, and because they collected a lot of stuff, they wanted to document it in some way. They didn't want to just leave it as a trip. So that's how a complete kind of a trip happened. So that was just more like a group example, which we kind of go through almost on a daily basis. So we often say to people that there are, 7 keys to a successful learning experience, and the 7 keys are prepare, 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 prepare. So I hope you like the 7 Ks. Yeah, any thought? Anybody wants to share anything? Else we can kind of move little ahead. In fact, I was, the other day, I think one of you was sharing about that the child isn't getting up in the morning, and the first thought that came to my mind when you shared was that hey, did we prepare the child last night? Did we talk to the child? Did the child pack her whatever day, next day, imagined it, visualized it, role played it? That's one of the more interesting options to role play with the child, like how you do with an injection. So you actually get a plastic, or you know, the experience of how Bashpika is saying, cutting your hair with a plastic scissor or something. So you actually role play the thing, and uh, so that you kind of you're there with the whole thing. Yep. Anybody, any thoughts? Else, I would like to take a jump and move to what happens after a session. So we were discussing before a learning session or learning activity or whatever, before learning and after learning. So, any questions? Any thoughts? Okay, also, in some ways, the pre-session activities that we send before the sessions are also a kind of a stimulation or preparation for the session. So you kind of get into that mood of the session or the topic that we are going to discuss, because you would have done few things, and so I hope that has been doing its role. Okay, and talking about that, I had sent one mail regarding writing haikus. How many of you could read that and could explore haikus? See that mail? No? If you can respond in the chat window if you did that, if you read through that at least, and preferably wrote some haikus. You guys there? Can you hear me? Okay. Yeah, at least if you have read it, because we can write them right now, but if you read through it, if you kind of uh, no, she still didn't get the mail itself. Okay, give me a minute. I'll see if I can pull it up. I don't have it right here, so just give me a minute. I've unshared the screen. Mm, okay, so a lot of you have read it, but have not. Okay, so I'll project it just for your reference and for people who have not read it. Just give me a moment. I pulled it out. Okay, can you see it now on the screen? Yep. Can you see it on your screen? Just confirm that to me. Okay. Uh, so for people who haven't read, you can read it now, and for people who have read, it is again there for your reference. So I would like you to try writing one right now. Pick up any moment from, let's say, today morning or yesterday. Don't pick up something from very far back. just something very recent, today morning or yesterday. And go ahead and try and write this 3-line haiku. So haiku is typically 3 lines, like it was given in the write-up. So you need not write it in the chat window, just write it on a whatever piece of paper, whatever you have. Shrishti, the mail was sent to the whole e-group. You must be getting all the e-group mails, right? So if you might have gone to your spam or something, just check it. I'm assuming you must be getting all the mails about the pre-session preparation. Is this the only one that you missed? So if you're getting the others, yeah. The advantage of the mail was that there were some examples of haikus and all that. Here I haven't project. I don't have the examples right now with me. So for people who are reading this for the first time, in this slide it is not mentioned. So haikus are typically 3-line poems, and the second line is normally very small, just couple of words. The first and the third line would also be typically just 5-6 words or 3-4 words, right? So they're not really grammar. We're not trying to write grammar. We're trying to kind of write the essence of what we are seeing. So catch a moment and convert that into a little a little 3-line poem with the first and third line longer and the second line just 1 or 2 words. So everybody try to write at least one. Once you have written about one haiku, even though it may not be final, just indicate, because then we'll do something with it, as in we'll form pairs and we'll do something. So just indicate in the chat window once you have written about one at least. So what we'll do is we'll do this thing in multiple parts. So as a second step, if you have written one, we'll make pairs, and you will kind of share with your pair, with your partner, and kind of facilitate each other. So now bring in your facilitation skills first, right? So you will work in pairs and facilitate each other. So do it one by one. So one person shares and the other person becomes facilitator. And once that is totally according to you, whatever you've spent enough time, then you switch the roles. Don't do it together. In the sense, don't together share your um, haiku. Do it one by one, and at one time one plays the facilitator. Is that okay? So let me make pairs. So Avinash can go with Banu, Kamal with Kusum. Just keep giving me a yes in the chat window. Avinash with Banu, Kamal with Kusum, Nandini with Reena, Ritu with Shilpa, and Shrishti can be with Bashpika. Is that okay? Just everybody give me a quick yes and start off. You can use private chat, share. So you can say I'm the facilitator and the other person can be the doer. That person can share through the chat window the haiku, and then you can facilitate however you want to facilitate. Yeah. If you do want to talk to each other, then just use a phone. Quickly call each other and talk. If you want to talk. Otherwise, just use the chat window. Are the teams clear? Avinash Bhanu, Kamal and Kusum, Nandini, Reena, Ritu, Shilpa, and Shrishti and Bashvika. Go ahead. Uh, are both the sides done? If you need more time, let us know. Or have both of you kind of facilitated each other? So either you write both done, or you say need few more minutes, or whatever. Okay, Banu is saying not yet. Okay, sure. If you're kind of done, you continue to interact with your whatever partner as a facilitator. I'll give few more minutes. Some want more time, a couple of more minutes. So spend more time. See how else would you like to facilitate your partner. You're possibly aware of her haiku or his haiku. Um, realize you or yourself are exploring haikus possibly for the first time. So that's an interesting position as a facilitator. So go ahead, explore a little more of facilitation. Okay, so I'm assuming all are done or at least done some amount of facilitation, right? So just give me a quick ready for the next step, or let's take a break. I think it's a good time to, yeah, it's almost 11:30. Shall we take a break and then come back and continue this activity? Is that okay with everybody, or you want to continue this and take a break later? Ritu, break in charge. Rituji, you there? Others, you want to take a break or you want to continue? Break needed, says Dipali. Okay, so when are we back, Ritu? We are at 11:29. How many minutes? Ah, perfect. 13 and a half minutes. Awesome. Good. So let's be back in 13 and a half minutes. See you all. Okay, so let's start back. So what we did was we actually did two things. One is whatever you wrote haiku, or you had rather thought, or you read about haiku. Um, Sorry. Yeah, I think my voice would be better now. So what we did was we did two things. One is we first were more involved in creating a haiku. For that, we read what is in haiku, then we attempted in haiku, and then we kind of shared it with a partner, um, and kind of got facilitated. The other part was that we actually we facilitated our partner. Yeah. So what we'll do is we'll do two rounds of what we call as reflection, and try to see how. So what the first round was about haiku, and the second round would be about facilitation. So we'll come to facilitation in just a little while. Let's go back to the whole haiku writing experience. Yeah, and what I want to do is, so imagine that you have this group of people whom, not imagine, you have this group of people who have been writing haikus, who have written at least one haiku, and now it's kind of the end of the activity. Everybody has written haiku, everybody was facilitated, blah blah blah. So it's kind of the end of the activity. Now you want them to kind of reflect back on the whole experience of writing the haiku. So I want you to first come up with some ideas. How could we get them to reflect on their experience of uh, of writing a haiku? How could you get the rest of your group mates here? What can you do so that they reflect back on their experience? Apart from asking questions. So we'll ban asking questions. Other than asking questions, what can we do? Did you get my question?
Give
Rakesh, Ritu here.
example.
Yeah, go ahead,
Banu, that
Ritu.
was Banu. Yeah. Uh, I think maybe ask them to close their eyes and go back to that moment and feel everything and try to see everything that was there.
Okay,
Imagine.
okay. More ideas. What can we do to kind of reflect back? So this is one idea. I think Banu also wanted to share. Remember, the only thing which you cannot do is ask them questions. So no verbal reflection. Yeah, we need more ideas of how we can get this group to reflect back on their experience of writing a haiku. So what you want them? You want them to go back in some way, in different ways, and kind of, yeah, go through the whole process. So give us more ideas, whatever comes to your mind.
And this is Nandini. No rhyming words in haiku is actually an advantage thing. So I would say just write your experience, just write 3 lines how you feel, and not think about no need of thinking about the rhyme. Just write your feelings.
I'm not sure I could totally understand that. Nandi, can you repeat a little louder?
Yeah. To write a poem, we have to think of the rhyming words.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, in haiku, there is no need of rhyming words, so
Mm-hmm.
that's actually an advantage. So you can just write your feeling just in 3 lines. You can, I mean, you can use that for motivation and thought.
Yeah, but here what we are doing is, so you realize the activity is actually over. We started off with reading the write up, then we started writing it, then we got facilitated. Now the activity is kind of over, and now we want to spend some time reflecting back on the experience. Yeah. Right. So we're kind of reflecting back. So how would you get the group to reflect back on the time that we spent? So Ritu gave one idea. So let's actually do that. As we get ideas, let's actually do reflection. So let's do Ritu's. Ritu, would you like to kind of uh, would you like to take us on the journey, or would you like to kind of do that reflection for all of us? So walk us through whatever instructions you want to give,
We
whether
could
it's
also
online
ask them to
instructions
draw
or
the
it is more like a guided visualization, however you want to do it.
another idea. We could ask them to
Ritu, we can't
draw
hear you.
the. You can't hear me? One second. One second. Hello? Can you hear me?
Uh, yeah, Ritu, we can't really
I have
hear
one.
you. You're able to.
You can't hear me. Oh.
Oh, sorry. Okay, wait. I think are others able to hear? Yeah, Ritu. Yeah, I think it was my headphones problem. Ritu, speak again.
Is it muted? Okay. Hello?
Yeah, it was my headphones problem. Sorry. Oh,
Okay. You can hear me. Okay. Another idea I got was to ask them to draw draw what they experienced, draw the event.
okay. So we've got 3 ideas. So we'll do all the ideas, right? So let's start with the first one. So since that idea came from you, Ritu, tell us how to do it. Take just 2 minutes, not more than that, and get us to whatever visualize, feel, see, however you want to do it.
Okay. Can you all close your eyes and try to remember the event or the situation you were trying to express in the haiku. Try to remember the sounds, the scenes. Try to look around. Look around and see who all are there, what all is happening. What are you feeling? Notice the colors. Maybe I'm going a little fast, but I would probably give a little more time in between suggestions and
Do it how you want to do it. Don't worry about the time.
okay. think that's about it. Guiding through the visualization. Now read your haiku again and see if you can add a few more words or remove any words. That's all I have, Ratnesh.
Right. So let's take the Shilpa suggested we can act out. Shilpa, would you like to do that? Would you like to kind of conduct it and get us to reflect? However, whatever is your idea, just impromptu, doesn't matter. Whatever comes to your mind right now. How can you help us reflect using acting? Reflect about the whole journey of reading, then writing, then discussing. That was the whole activity, right? So get us to reflect back on the whole thing.
Ratnesh, I thought that acting out the haiku what we have written, so that was what I had thought of.
Okay, so that's okay. Whatever. Tell us to do it, we will do it, even though we are all. So maybe if people have cameras, they can come switch on their webcam and act it out. Go ahead, take the initiative, make us do something.
Yeah, I would invite the members to act out and
Go ahead, you are in charge of the session now. Go ahead.
would anybody like to act out the haiku what they have uh, written? Somebody would
Yeah, so Shilpa, you can even go name by name and you can invite people. And um, if they have a webcam, many of us have, they can just switch it on and act it out.
Avinash, Banu, Kusum, anybody would like to come and act out the haiku what you all have written?
And maybe Shilpa, you can start by doing it yourself. Yeah, Shilpa, we can see you.
Yeah,
Are we allowed to talk in the acting?
yeah. Yeah. So there are other crayons and color pencils scattered everywhere, and I'm just painting, coloring, and then I just leave. That is it.
Nice.
So anybody would like to?
I think the idea is that each one of us has written something. So whatever we have written, we just try to act it out, whatever. So it's pretty straightforward. I think Avinash, it's not nothing from your end. Whatever, if you have written an haiku, just act it out. Especially if you have a webcam. However it looks, how does it matter? So all of us, let's do that. Especially people who have webcams, please do it in front of webcam so that we can see you. And I know it's much easier to do this when we are physically there. Um, but I guess we can, maybe we're not so very comfortable with webcam, but that's okay. Just try it out. And as Shrishti mentioned, that way we can see each other also. You want to act out?
Yeah, I'll try.
Yeah, I'll just switch the webcam.
Okay. I can speak, right?
Yeah, yeah, that's where the mic.
As I'm sitting in Arohi, what?
Just a little louder.
Okay. As I'm sitting in Arohi, wild wind touching my face gently.
Okay, that was. Could you all get it? Okay, would like everybody to do that. Whatever Shilpa's idea is that we should act out. So I think we have to experience it to realize how in many different ways we can reflect back and what does that do to us. So what is this whole business of reflection? So we'll talk about it, but we can talk about it only once we experience it. That's why I want to do reflection in multiple ways and then talk about what is reflection, what it does, and so on and so forth. So it's important that we do it So people who have a webcam, please. Yep. Anybody else coming uh, on the camera? Or otherwise, at least act it out even if you're not coming on the camera, and act it out as if there's an audience in front of you. So we'll not be able to hear or see you, but we'll at least be able, you will be able to act it out and see what does acting out the haiku does to you. So if you're acting it out on your own, just once you've done it, you do that, put that in the chat window. If you're acting on a webcam, that would be awesome. Yeah, either ways, please respond. So do it either ways. Either you do it on webcam or you anyway just do it to a whatever unknown audience, and then let us know if you have done it. Hello, can you hear me? You guys there? Okay, Serena has done it. Others, indicate to us if you have done it or if you want to do it on the webcam. That would be better. Okay, so I think everybody has more or less done it. Okay, let's do few more ways of reflection. So Ritu, your one idea was to draw. So can you come on mic and tell us what are we supposed to do?
Hi, Ratnesh.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm out, so there could be a little disturbance on and off. Um, uh, I would want you all to draw what you experienced in whatever way you want to express it on paper. The objects, the feelings, the colors, the shapes.
Okay, so all of us are supposed to just go ahead and draw the haiku, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so let's do that. So please do that, and once you are done, you can indicate whatever drawn.
Ritu, uh, do we have to draw the haiku or the feeling what you get when one is writing, or both?
You can draw your observations and also maybe the anything, however you feel like expressing it on paper.
Okay, okay.
In the chat window. Okay, so we have done reflection in three ways. We visualized the journey, then we acted out, then we drew. Few more ideas of how else can we reflect back on the whole experience of reading, writing, and being facilitated about haiku. Meaning, actually, it's not specific to haiku. How else one could reflect back on anything that one does. So one can generalize. Obviously, these three, what we did is also generic. It is, we can do this with anything. We can do it with a picnic. We can do it with a cooking experience. We can do that with our day. We can do it with anything, isn't it?
Haiku probably goes without our judgment, right? Avoid our judgment and um, just observing plainly without coming to conclusions.
Okay, but how are you
Should have
getting us
added
to
that.
reflect? Yeah, that's part of your how you did it. Yeah, is that part of how you did it? But I'm asking how can we reflect? So interesting. There is a seed there of an idea. Bashpika has some thought.
We can document it.
How would you like us to document it?
Um, Maybe the entire journey.
Mm-hmm. Or we can write about the whole journey.
Yeah.
I think Shilpa is also saying writing. Shil
Okay.
Shilpa, so like as in what we went through when we read
Yeah.
about it, and then we did.
Yeah.
Is that
Feelings and what we undergo while
okay?
making it.
Shilpa, what is on your mind?
Yes, similar to what Bashpika has said. Uh,
Okay,
Writing down the entire experience of right from uh, starting the reading about haiku, then
right.
writing it, facilitating the entire experience.
Okay. Some more ideas. Now, these are so write, draw, act, uh, visualize.
Think.
Yeah, think, visualize. Now, can we come up with something little more? Little become little more crazy, little playful, little become more interesting.
Dance the whole experience.
Yeah, say that. Yes, Bashpika wants us to dance the whole experience. Yes, choreograph. Okay, dance the whole experience. Little more, right? Sing it, make it into a song. Sing your haiku. Yup, Srishti says sing it. Give some music to the whole experience. Okay. One of the reasons why we are only coming up with the generic options is because we are trying to look at the whole experience in its entirety. Now, the easiest way to get into different ways of reflecting is to start asking the question, what do I want to reflect on? Right now we are saying the whole thing. Now let's start picking up little things out of it, kind of almost cutting sushi slices. What do we want the other person to focus on? For example, the simplest could be, let's say, feelings. What different feelings you went through? So let's say if you have to draw 5 smiley faces, so let's do that on the go. So draw 5 circles as the blank smiley faces. Yeah. In the first smiley face, draw what you were feeling when you were reading about haikus. So in the first smiley face, draw what you were feeling. Don't write the feeling, or if you want, you can write the word also below. So draw what you were feeling when, draw a smile, meaning a face for what you were feeling when you were reading about haiku, and write down the feeling below. In the second one, draw what you were feeling when you came to know you have to write. Oh, I have to write the haiku. So that time, what were you feeling? The second smile, the second phase. Maybe in the third phase, you can draw how you were feeling when you were writing it. You were trying it out. Uh, you could be pleased. You could be frustrated. You could be apprehensive. You could be anxious. I don't know what, but you would have been feeling something when you were actually writing it. In the fourth smiley face, draw your feeling when you were discussing it with your partner and your partner was facilitating you. So when you were being facilitated, how were you feeling? And okay, so let me give a little more time there. And in the last smiley face, maybe you can draw how you are feeling now about the whole process. Now, which is about what? About an hour later. What are you feeling about the whole experience of doing this haiku activity? So do you get the idea? So this is one way to reflect, right? Now what we have done in this is we are still using drawing to some extent, but the focus is on feelings. So we picked out one aspect of ourselves. So similarly, we can actually focus on anything that we want, whatever we want to reflect on. So in this case, we reflected on emotions. So I'm asking you, what else we could have reflected on? I want you to think what else we could have reflected, not how. For a moment, we are keeping the how aside. We'll come back to how ideas more. But more importantly, what else we could have focused on? One example was feelings, which you did just now with me. Shrishti, can you elaborate on that when you say word? What do you want us to focus on during reflection? Okay, Reena is saying mood. Reena, is that similar to feelings? So one is we can reflect on feelings slash moods. Okay, what else can we reflect on? Okay, creativity. Yeah. So Reena is saying we can reflect on creativity. What else can we reflect on? Mm, Shilpa, will you qualify that? You're saying environment. Can you come on the mic to share what you have in mind when you say environment?
Sorry, environment in the sense I meant resources or what all one had when doing the activity.
Okay, what?
Maybe.
So you're saying what all resources one used?
Yes, yes, yes.
So when you're talking about resources, what? So one is the physical resources. What else you have in
And
mind
here,
other than physical
here,
resources?
also, now something about haiku I did not know, so that was informed to me. So, if it's a group of students, one would have understood it, one would not have understood it, or
Mhm.
maybe understanding may be different on.
Sure.
So maybe that.
Okay. So that's a slightly different point. I'll come back to the resources. What you're saying is one could have focused on how was my understanding at different points. Yeah. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And in resources, if you allow me from your point, I'm saying how one used peer resources. So in this particular case, you did not have peers immediately, but you did use peers
bathroom
for
ada commode clean
facilitation.
panna epo and
Yeah, and if it is a teamwork, as in when we were facilitating each other,
Hmm.
so uh, that that could be pure resources. I mean,
Yeah. So how did one use physical resources? How did one use peer resources? Yeah. What other meaning? So this may not be applicable here, but maybe somebody use, let's say, Google to look up for some words, right? Or use a thesaurus to look up for some words. So what other So that's another other physical resources. So one can reflect back on what physical resources one used. What else one can reflect on? What other kind of resources one could use? One is physical, one is peer, what else? So again, you can generalize it. It need not be about this activity, but it can apply to actually any activity. Yep, more ideas of what else one could have. Because there's almost if you start looking at any activity, there's almost an infinite list of what one can reflect on. Right? For example, I can reflect on which of my abilities did I use, right? Which of my strengths did I use, right? What kind of, so I can focus on different intelligences. Did I use, so while this was more of a word intelligent activity, so how did I use different vocabulary, and how did I use in the word intelligence, what did I use? Did I also use a lot of visual intelligence by trying to imagine that haiku, trying to visualize it in my mind? Did I use interpersonal intelligence? Did I use intrapersonal intelligence? Did I really go close to the experience? So I can focus on what different intelligences did I use. Obviously, this might have been a small activity, but let's say if I'm to reflect back on my day, let's say if I want to reflect back on yesterday, then I can look at, hey, what all did what all intelligences I use, which all abilities I use, which all strengths I use, which all resources I use. The list can go on. I can reflect what new I learned, what I already knew, and what new I learned. More ideas, what all I can reflect on. I can even reflect one on what I liked and what I did not like. Uh, I can reflect on what is helpful to me and what is not helpful. So I'm kind of generalizing. So maybe I think you'll come up with more ideas if you start thinking, okay, what all I can reflect back, let's say on yesterday. Let's say all of us are reflecting back about yesterday. Now what all I can reflect back. Not the content, but different aspects of yesterday that I can reflect back on. Or any activity for that matter. Just to kind of extend this, let's say I've just played a match yesterday, or I played a match in the morning, I played a game in the morning, a game of football or a game of cricket, or I played carom, or anything, or I cooked something, or I just played for 1 hour with my child, let's say. What all I can reflect on. Yeah, some more ideas of what all we can reflect on. Then we'll come back to how we can reflect on.
How much joy we experienced. How much joy we experienced during the whole process.
Okay. Yeah. So we can have something called as a joy meter. Have you ever used a joy meter? No. Okay. So let's do this. Do this today. Make a joy meter. Right. What is a joy meter? Nothing but a piece of paper with 1 to 10 or whatever you want. And after everything that you do today, including this session, just look at your joy meter and say, okay, where am I on the joy meter? Right? Maybe you have a little conflict with somebody. Maybe your joy is somewhere a little lower. and then later on you cook something and everybody likes it and your joy is there, and then you, while cleaning up, you break something and your joy comes down. So your joy keeps changing. Yeah, is that what you have in mind?
Yeah, the same thing.
So we can have a joy meter or joy scale, right? Actually, if you start thinking, there's actually infinite things that we can reflect back on, right? Out of anything that we do, we can reflect back on efficiency, we can reflect back on effectiveness, we can reflect back on cost, we can reflect back on ease or difficulty or challenge, right? We can reflect back on a particular concept, or which concepts did I use, right? Or which, how did I, let's say, where all did I use science in this activity? So if you go back to your haiku, one reflection could be, hey, where all did you use scientific thinking? Did you use scientific thinking? Yes, no, maybe. If yes, where? If not, where? Maybe in your thinking you used, maybe you did not put it in the haiku, but maybe when you were thinking, let's say if you're thinking about wind blowing, did your mind go into, okay, what makes the wind blow? Is it, and how does the wind makes me feel? So were you there with the science or not? Maybe you were not with the science, but maybe you were more with something else, and so on. So we can pick up any aspect and actually reflect back on it. The important question obviously would be, before we go on as to how to do this, is why are we doing this? Why is there a need to reflect? Why can't we just whatever do something? That's it. I went, I played a match, I came back, I went and I cooked and I came back, or I lived my yesterday. That's it. I just lived it over. Why do I need to reflect back on it? So what do you think? What's the value uh, of reflecting back? How will it help us or the child, which is both the same? Yes, so I'm asking the why question now. Why do I need to reflect? Yep. Anybody thoughts? Why would you like to reflect? What could be some of the benefits?
It Shilpa here.
Yeah, sure.
Probably it kind of brings an awareness to oneself.
Mm-hmm.
If I reflect back on my yesterday, what all events happened, so I'm more aware that these things, when I did think these things, I was upset. When somebody told me something, I felt good about it. So probably you're more aware of what is happening, why it is happening, maybe.
Okay. So one is, as Shilpa is saying, it helps us become more aware. So an obvious question would be, so how would that awareness help me?
Uh, to understand myself better, I mean,
Okay.
And when
to
we
know myself, maybe.
Yeah.
do it for the next time, it increases the efficiency, effectiveness. I think we all reflect on something we did unconsciously, maybe sometimes,
Mm-hmm.
but consciously, yeah, we can do it also.
I think that's a very important part, that we actually, as a natural process, we are all, kind of unconsciously reflecting back. Uh, the interesting part is that when you start looking at the what, Now, what happens is we may not reflect on everything. We may just reflect at a very gross level overall. Acha tha, or it was good, it was nice. If you ask somebody, how was your trip? Nice, man, cool, man, relaxing. That's a very top level, but that doesn't really give us insight. We haven't gone and looked into the details. We haven't gone into understood, as you're saying, got to know more about oneself and what was relaxing, what made it relaxing, how can I bring that relaxation in my day to day. Do I need to go on a holiday to bring relaxation? Even if I go on a holiday, what really relaxes me? Is it being with the family? Is it visiting places? Is it the hotel? Or what relaxes me? And even at the in a holiday, what does not relax me? So if I go into detail, as Shilpa was pointing out, knowing myself, understanding myself. What else? What else could be benefits of reflection? Any activity, not just holiday. I just took it as a random example. It could be anything. I just wrote a haiku. So what's the benefit of reflecting back? For that matter, all of you also facilitated each other. Now, one till now we were reflecting um, on the writing part. Now, would you like to reflect back on how you facilitated? What did you do as a facilitator? And what would you like to reflect back on that? How would you like to reflect back? And why would you like to reflect back? Yeah, some thoughts. Why would you like to reflect back? Because I'm pushing this question because if I look at, let's say, my own journey, especially the schooling journey, uh, the concept of reflection itself was not there. The only kind of reflection was the test paper, right? We were supposed to, or maybe homework to some extent, but was it really reflection, or was it just purely focused on knowledge that I had or I've gained, or the skill? So if I've been taught how to divide, then I was given the homework of 10 more problems to divide. So was that really a reflection, or maybe that was more of just a practice? Similarly, I was maybe given some projects or some exams, but they were, to me, some of them were reflective. I wouldn't say they were non-reflective, but uh, it was still at a very, very surface and a more at the knowledge level, right? So what I was reflecting back is how much I remember, or how well I've gained a particular skill to multiply or add or solve an equation or whatever it is. Or in most of the other subjects, it was just how well I remember. Right? So in my whole journey of childhood, I was never really told to reflect back, at least at an interesting granular level. At go into details, think about it, correlate, map it, draw it, act it out, sing it, dance it, visualize it, like how some of the interesting examples that you gave, and so on. There can be so many ways of reflecting. So somehow there was no importance given to reflection. Even in today's education system, I don't see too much of importance being given to reflection. So I want to know from you why you think this would be important. Should this be given little importance, some importance, lot of importance? What do you think?
Hi Rajneesh, Shilpa here.
Yeah, Shilpa.
I think yes, it is very important because sometimes as a child when I look back, and then there was no reflection, as you mentioned. It was just uh, purely knowledge, pure information, and there were certain times when some things I would just not understand. but I never look back, or to understand why is it that these topics I find it difficult, or what is it, uh, you know that is why am I finding it difficult. So maybe if there was some kind of a reflection done, that uh, at least I would know that I would know why I'm finding certain topics difficult, maybe to study, maybe to understand what is my understanding about it, what have I understood. So that would at least help me to understand the concept. Maybe not, I would not produce it in the test paper, but if the concepts, if I would have understood, maybe uh, that subject would not be so difficult.
Sure, sure.
So it is very important, but somewhere even day to day activities or day to day situations, there is actually no reflection being done. I mean, personally, or even with my child.
Yeah. So what we believe is that uh, uh, okay. So let me quote first. There's a person called John Dewey. I don't know if you have heard about him. He's on one of the most. If you look at education and look at the last 100 years, and if you say who are the people who have most influenced um, education, at least at a theory level, yeah, but the few names that appear in the international scene, one of the person is John Dewey. He's kind of almost called as father of experiential learning. So what he says is very simple. He says you don't learn anything by doing it unless you think about it, right? uh, which is actually to me very true, because if I would have just learned by experiencing something, by now I would have become a perfect person, right? But I keep doing the same mistake, right? Which means there must be something about that. I'm not thinking about it. I'm just doing the mistake and I'm saying, oops, why did you do it like that? Why did you behave like that? Why did you answer it like that? Why did you whatever XYZ? And then I just kind of ask myself some stupid why question, and then just leave it. Maybe I just reply to that as an excuse. Oh, I did this because of this reason, and that's the end of my reflection. What would happen if we were to reflect back on every little experience that we get, right? If we shouted at somebody, or if we responded to somebody with a lot of uh, affection. So we have two different experiences. If I came back and I reflected on each of those, what made me do it this way, what made me do it this way, how was it, how did it affect the other, and so on and so forth. So if I spend time reflecting, then I'm actually learning something. So we equate reflection to digestion, right? What's the point of eating if I'm not going to digest it, right? I mean, I can pass it out, but then that's just the maza of eating it. Then I don't get the nutrition out of it. In much the same way, we do a lot of things and we enjoy doing it, but if we don't really assimilate it or digest it, then we are not really getting the nutrition out of it. So at least in our way of working, we say reflection is the actual learning. So we learn only when we reflect back on something, not just merely by doing it. And hence we literally equate learning equal to reflection, or reflection equal to learning, or reflection is what we sorry learning is what we get after reflection. And which is why we think, whether it's creativity, whether it's habits of mind, whether it's any of the intelligences, uh, whether it's developing empowerment, everything has to come from the child. And the way we do it is we get the child to reflect back on any experience. If the child had a fight, if the child had made a model, if the child wrote a report, if the child played a sport, each one of them, if we can get the child to reflect back on that experience and any one aspect or few aspects of that experience, then the child is constantly gaining from that, assimilating from that, kind of getting nutrition out of it. Which is why to us it's like reflection is the thing. In the sense, it is such an important part of whatever, eating our food. Yeah, normally we focus a lot on we eating of the food. We don't really focus on digesting it because we assume it's automatic, right? But that's not. With reflection, we've realized it's not very automatic. It's more at a gross level. If we really want to get a lot of stuff out of what we did or what we experienced, then we can have lots of different kind of reflections. It's almost like you see a movie and then you come back and you chat about the movie and you discuss the movie in detail with your friends, the characters, the plot, the various things that were used in that. Uh, and suddenly it is so much more enjoyable. The movie is like uh, that much more enjoyable and that much more learning experience. And then a friend comes along and says, "Did you see that scene? How she acted, or how he did that?" And then you say, "Oh, that I missed." Meaning I didn't really focus on it. And then that person helps us get a little more from the movie, and so on and so forth. So anything could be reflected back upon, and that is the whole kind of idea of reflection and the importance of reflection, at least to us. Your thoughts? Sorry for the long spiel. In fact, that is one of the reasons why we say any experience is good news. It is not good news because of the experience itself. The experience might be horrifying, but the good news is because by reflecting, we can get lots out of any experience, even if it was a horrifying or terrible or painful or whatever troublesome experience. So that is precisely the idea, that the reflection is what helps us get the best out of everything. Your thoughts? Your reflection on reflection. Yep, some thoughts. Second half has been very quiet, very reflective, maybe. Maybe
Ramesh, to hear?
yeah, Ritu.
Yeah, very reflective. Uh, just like, when we come back from a movie or we come back from a trip or we come back from mm, an activity session or something, when we come back and we talk about it and we discuss it, especially in a group, when we think alone, I think we learn maximum about our own self, but when we discuss in a group, reflect in a group, we learn better about the other person as well. We learn about the other people who are there, the people we are discussing with. We learn more about
Yeah,
ourselves. It could be in terms of what are each other's strengths, what are each other's, what we like, we don't like.
right, right.
How do we learn better? What motivates us? A lot of things like that.
So definitely peer reflection or group reflection multiplies the learning, just like peer doing or group doing multiplies our learning, which is why we are here as a group, even in this program, and not doing a one-to-one program. So it is, somebody had asked me, why should I do TTT? Why can't I just read? There are lots of books and possibly they are much better than what you're going to say, which I completely agree with. But the maza is of having being in a group, sharing, each one sharing their own thoughts, experiences. So that's That a book cannot give me. In book, I am with the book. That's all. So at best, I am with the author, with one peer. But here I am with so many people and with so many experiences. So yes, so peer reflection is amazing, which is why I guess things like blogs and all really caught up, because when you post it on the web, when you think about something, that's one. But when you post a blog about, let's say, a movie, then you're sharing your thoughts, and then other people are commenting, and it becomes a peer, interaction. So from being just your thoughts, now you are inviting so many other people's thought. So this whole concept of blogging and commenting, and even in, let's say, Google community or Facebook and all of these things, so they have added to our lives in terms of, if you're using it for reflection. Yes, definitely. I think somebody else also wanted to share. Shilpa, I think.
Yeah, Ratnesh. I was just thinking that how when someone is in pain, or if someone has fallen down, got hurt, reflecting on that, it's just a minor accident. Then how
You're saying how will that be helpful?
yeah, how reflection, because that person is in pain, and then what how
So do it
what
next
kind, I
time.
mean, if
Next
I
time,
imagine.
yeah, next time you are in pain, after the pain, or even when you are having the pain, draw the pain maybe. Act it out. Talk about it. Blog it. Let's see what that does to your pain.
Okay.
Maybe Bashpika here. I would like to talk about it. What you said, yeah, when a person falls down, and you can reflect it in so many ways. It is helpful, but not when the person is in pain. You cannot sit and do reflection. Maybe after some time, when you reflect at it, you can find why you got hurt. Maybe there is some mistake which we made, which made us fall. And also sometimes the reflection could be things happen. That's it. Not in our hands. Yeah, we can learn few things like that. That is what my opinion is.
Well, not just few things. We can learn a whole lot of things from a simple fall. We can learn the science behind it. We can learn the interpersonal skills behind it. We can learn the social and, sorry, the emotional skills related to what happened. How did I deal with the hurt? How did I deal with the pain? How did others respond to me? Which response did I like? Did I like being pampered? Did I like being told, hey, there is nothing, don't cry? What did I like, what did I not like, and so on. There's a whole lot of things. Which ability of mine I used to get out of the pain? Which strength did I use? What is my understanding of pain now that I've experienced it one more time, and so on. We can put our joy meter there. Did it decrease my joy? Did it increase my joy? Right? What did I already know about it, and so on. We can go on. Did I have a creative response to it? How else I could have responded to it? So one little, so every experience, you call it painful, I say every experience is a reflective experience, and there's so much to learn from each one of them. So when we are working with children, are we helping them reflect on it, or are we giving yarn? Somebody falls, we start giving yarn. Do it this way. Why did you not do this? So many times I've told you this. Blah 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 blah. That's one way of doing it. The other way is to get the child to reflect back on it, and not just the verbal one. One of the most common, I would say, limitation that we do is uh, that we ask the child a question and the child is supposed to respond back. But that's just one way of reflecting, and sometimes very limiting, because not everybody wants to express verbally, like how Bashpika said, which is very, very important. That I'm hopefully doing the reflection afterwards, not when I am in pain. And even at that time, I may not want to talk about it. But let's see if we can explore different ways of of actually reflecting. In fact, in the mail we've sent a link. If you go through the presentation, we have actually documented so many ways of reflecting back. So talking is just one way. In fact, we say it should be least used. With children, the other ways are far better. The tactile way, the acting way, the drawing way, the playing a game way. There are so many ways. You can literally pick up a game and turn it into a reflection. Right? Anything can be made into a reflection. A simple thing like, let's say we have Chinese whisper, right? We all play Chinese whisper. I can whisper one thing in your ear, which is something that is important to me out of an experience. That can be so much fun, right? Because it gets as it passed on, right? So there are so many ways. We say there are 250 things I can reflect on. There are 250 ways I can reflect on. Or there is this like an endless ocean which is available right there with me all the time. Just that I'm not diving into it. Most of the time, I'm just at the surface skimming it. So the invitation is for you, look into the presentation, look into the documentation. There are lots of ideas of how you can do it. But far more important, if you realize why you should do it, then you will find your own ways. Just again, a word of caution, which I think Bashpika very rightly pulled up, is that don't do it when something is happening. That's not the time for reflection. So reflection is after something has happened. And see if you can avoid doing too much of verbal reflection, which is what people end up doing most of the cases, asking questions. But use other ways of reflecting, whether it's a blog writing like your documentation that you talked about, whether it's drawing, whether it's acting out, and so many other ways of doing it. In fact, yesterday evening we were doing a kind of a reflection which where we wrote 14 things that we did in the day which was important to us, and then what we did was we went backwards. We started striking out the one that we felt was the least important. So once having written 14 things that we think that were important, we striked off whichever we thought was the least important. Then out of the 13 we striked off which was the least important. Now, every time when you're thinking what is least important, you're thinking about what you did, right? And that's the way to reflect back. So it was a very much a self-reflection using a little bit of writing, a lot of striking out till they reach zero and striked out everything. So that was just one way of reflecting. There can be a million ways of reflecting. So yeah, anybody wants to? We're almost there. 2 minutes to one. Kind of close the session. Anybody wants to say something, share something? So how, maybe Bashpika can also share how was her experience of reflecting yesterday evening. So we do that. We in ROE we do that reflection every day in the evening. So that goes without feeling. Yeah, and somebody else. Yeah, Ritu is also on mic. Go ahead, Ritu.
Actually, not about today's session. Ratnesh, we have another session on Thursday.
Yeah.
Okay, I won't be able to attend it. Is it the last session for this TTT?
Okay, since you have brought it up, okay, can I just take a couple of thoughts and then before closing we'll just discuss the rest of the two sessions.
Yeah, sure. Right. Thank you.
My thoughts about yesterday's reflection.
Yeah.
Yeah, when Ratnesh asked us to write 14 most important things, I couldn't think of 14 things initially. But I was thinking why we are doing this, and then yeah, when Ratnesh said that actually when we're writing and striking off the least important thing, we were actually thinking what we did that day. That way we can reflect on the whole day and what is more important to us. Yeah, that that the essence I got now, not yesterday. Yesterday I was actually thinking to ask him why, how it helped us. Now I can make sense out of it. Thank you.
Anybody else wants to kind of share any thoughts about reflection that you're getting now? Shilpa has put so much to reflect in the chat window. Yes, there is indeed so much to reflect. Infinite almost. Anybody wants to share something? Otherwise, we'll take up this session thing because, yeah, I also wanted to discuss this. Okay, so Ritu, coming back to the session thing, we have actually 3 sessions left. One session is this Thursday, and 2 more are scheduled next week. Now, what is happening is, I was about to send a mail to everybody. Unfortunately, I need to travel next week. So I actually wanted to push out the next 2 sessions, the last 2 sessions, either by 1 week or by 2 weeks. The reason 1 week or 2 weeks is that the subsequent week is also Ganesha festival. I don't know how many of you would be tied up in that, and will you be tied up whole week? So there are multiple options. One option is just shift it out the next week's session by 1 extra week, which means, let me kind of give you an idea in terms of dates. So the next 2 sessions would have been on 8th and 10th. So one option is shift them to 15th and 17th, but that clashes with the Ganesha festival. So one option could be shifted further out to 22nd and 24th, if that is okay. Other option is to do the next week on 8th. Sorry, not 8th. Do it on 15th and 22nd. No, sorry. What am I saying? Yeah. So next week, not do it, but do it on 15th one and then 22nd. Yes. So that's one option. I'll also put it down in mail if it's all too confusing. But broadly, just wanted to check what is the group okay with we are if we don't have a session next week. Um, does the Ganesha festival affect your sessions, or should we? Yeah. So that's my basic question. Maybe you can, if you're getting what I'm saying, you can. Um, so one option is 15th and 17th, and one option is 22nd and 24th. Which week would you prefer? So I'm only skeptical about 15, 17 because some people might be celebrating Ganesha festival. Uh, I'm okay that week. Okay, Ritu is suggesting 22 and 24. Okay, Bashpika is also okay with 22 and 24. Okay, till now Shilpa is also okay. Kusum is also okay. So let me ask the other way around. Is anybody not okay with 22 and 24? Okay, Avinash is also fine with it. Banu, are you okay with 22 and 24? So instead of 8 and 10, we'll have it 22, 24. Banu is okay. Kamal, are you there? Okay, Kamal is okay. Kusum is okay. Nandini, are you okay? Shrishti is fine. Nandini is also fine. I think so. At least the people present here are fine. I'll anyway send a mail. So which means we'll have a session this Thursday that Aditi will take, and then we'll have a 2 week break, and then we'll do it on 22 and 24. And then we will need one, not really a session, we'll need a 1 hour kind of whole review of the whole program. So that we can mutually decide in the last session when we want to have a 1.5 hour kind of a review of the whole thing. Right, good. Thank you. Thank you very much. And thank you for adjusting. I'm actually traveling, so this would really help me.